Hi everyone, my name is Tiffany and this is Growing Up Shaman. Today's story is going to be about energy signatures. Now, there are places and even spirits that have energy signatures that if you know what to look for, you can sense them and identify them. Um, one of the first ancestors that I lost and that I am now connected to in the spirit world is my aunt. She was my mother's sister, and she was very much like a mother to me. So much so that I would accidentally call her mom all the time when I was talking to her. And, but, anyways, when she passed away, I noticed that the number 13 kept coming up for me over and over again. And I got to the point where I started to recognize or identify this number with her. And the reason I did is because on January 13th, 2012 was the day that she got really, really sick. And she wanted to pass away at home. She knew she was sick, but she wanted to pass away at home. But her family members would not allow her to die at home. And so they called an ambulance and had her taken to a hospital where they basically just delayed the inevitable for another 12 days. And she ended up dying on the January 25th. I guess that was 13 days actually. But no, that was 12 days later. But anyways, the reason that's important was because when she was dying during those 12 days, the number 13 kept showing up so much. Like her room number was ICU room 13. When she passed away, it was 8:13 in the morning. I think on her death certificate, it will say 8:14, but I was there with her when she crossed over, and I looked at the clock right when I saw her take her last breath, and it said 8:13. But you know, the doctors and nurses have to do their thing and confirm, and that takes about a whole minute afterwards. And so, but I know 13 was just her number that she would use to identify herself. And so I considered it a signature of hers, so to speak. And so that's the reason why I wanted to talk about energy signatures today, because 2 days ago she sent me this. Two of them, actually. I was at work and contemplating what video I was going to be doing the next day on my day off, and I found two of these little things on my break table outside at work. So I took that as a sign that she wants to be talked about. She wants to, just wants me to mention her and whatnot, which is fine because it actually gives me an opportunity to segue into owls and how they have come into my life and helped me. Yeah, you see, in shamanism, we believe in power animals and how they can come with you or come to you during times in your life when you need them the most. And for me, specifically, owls are messengers of the dead. And it was just a belief that I had when I would say this until I started to have my experiences with owls. Now, I should let you know that my mom and my aunt, they died like 10 months apart from each other. They were very close, and yeah, they went the same year. Anyways, it was really, really tough on me. But I remember I was living with my brother after my mom died, 10 months after my aunt, and I remember one day going to walk my dog at these apartments next door to where my brother's house was, and there was this dry creek over there. And I remember it was right around the time, I want to say it was like October or November, right after the time changed. And so when I normally walk out there, it's usually light, but at this night it was dark already. And my boyfriend was with me, and we were just walking across this bridge, crossing that dry creek. And I felt the need for some reason to call out to my cat that had been dead for like 10 years, 15, I don't know how many years. the way I would call to her was I would whistle. I do not know how to whistle very well. I just have that one call, and I just whistled. And as soon as I whistled, right afterwards, I heard the sound of a horse whinnying right above my head, like as if there was a horse in the trees. And I looked at my boyfriend like I thought maybe he was messing with me, like trying to make the sound of a horse because I had just whistled. But I looked at him, and he wasn't making any, whistling now, or he wasn't doing anything with his mouth. So I whistled again, and then all of a sudden, this owl comes out of the trees from above me, or us, and it actually flew to a tree that was just right in front of us. And this tree actually had one of those lights that just shine up at the tree, and it was just in the middle of this light, just like letting us see it. And I remember thinking, wow, what a trip, Owls don't normally like the lights, and they usually stay in the dark, but this owl was front and center to us, and it was making its presence known. And I was like, that's so neat, and we ended up going home. And the next night I was walking my dog the same area. And this time I tried whistling out to that owl again, and it responded again. And then this time I saw it like call like its babies. And then I saw two more little owls come. And I was just in amazement, I was just like, wow, look, a whole family of owls. And then suddenly the mother owl took off, and that was the last time I ever saw that owl. But the next night when I went back, I tried to whistle for these owls again, and this time only the baby owls came. I wouldn't say they were babies. They were like what you would call like juvenile owls. It was like their first yearlings, I guess is what they would be called. And the mother had left the nest the night before, and whenever I would call, these two owls would show up. And they weren't always together. They were always like in different spots. They were hunting from different parts of the creek. But when I would call them, they would actually come. And it was just such a trip. And this became a nightly thing. Every night I would go out there and I'd call out to my owls, and they would show up. One time, they even I was walking my dog by myself this time, and I called for the owl or the owls, and suddenly one showed up, and it stood on a branch that was like just kind of directly at 12 o'clock in front of me, and then about a minute later, the second owl came, and it sat right next to that first little owl. And then that first owl actually jumped on the ground right in front of me. And then the second owl did the same thing. And then the first owl actually took one of its wings and held the other owl and just stood there. And my dog didn't even try to attack it or anything. It was just like in awe, just like me. Like, it was so weird. It was such a trip. And to me, that was just a sign that that those were my ancestors that had passed, both my mom and my sister, and they were coming to me in the form of owls. And it was just a very comforting experience that I had for that whole first year after my mom died, and my aunt as well. But yeah, I would tell everybody at work about these experiences that I was having with the owls, and I would invite people to come to my house and come see, watch it for themselves. And this nurse that I worked for, she came over one day, and she was like, I want to see this. And so I took her down to the creek where I walked the dogs, and I whistled for the owls, and they came. They came right away, and they got real close to us. So she was a believer after that. She was like, wow, that is really, really neat. And I remember like that following season, on my birthday, she invited me over to her house, and she lived in a totally different part of town, but she had made me a cake and dinner, and it was really nice. I had a family and friends over, and we were cutting the cake outside, like on her porch, and I had gone inside for a few moments, and my girlfriend, she runs into the house. She's like, Tiffany, you have to come out here and see this. The owls are going crazy in the creek behind my house. There are so many of them. And I was like, what? And so I went out there to go see what she was talking about, and the whole creek was just filled with owls, just like going off. And it was just such a cool experience. I can't remember the type of owls that were showing up at my friend's house, but I know that the type of owls that were showing up at my brother's place were eastern screech owls. And I don't know if you know this, but eastern screech owls, one of the calls that they make actually sounds like a horse. And so that's what that whinnying sound was that I heard right above my head. At the time, I don't remember thinking it was an owl at all. I immediately, my mind went to my aunt, because one of the little tricks that my aunt could do, and she did often, was make the sound of a horse. It was just amazing how well she could do it. And so I found it quite interesting that she would choose the sound of a horse coming out of an owl to make contact with me. But yeah, I thought that was so neat. Anyways, in shamanism, we believe that if you make contact with a power animal in the spirit world, this contact will be shown also in the physical world in some way, shape, or form. And for me, that was a very real physical form. They would actually come to me when I would call them. And I just thought that was so neat. And I remember when I was moving out of my brother's place, and I got my own place, and I was moving to a different town. I was sad because I knew that I wasn't going to be able to see my owls anymore on the nightly like I was able to. And something really cool happened on the drive to my new house. Right when I was crossing the county line and going into the new county where I was going to be living, suddenly on the ditch on the side of the road, a white owl came out of that ditch and just started flying, just like parallel to my car. And I slowed down to keep up with it, but we were just both just heading all the way to the light. And I had to turn and take a left, and it just kept going. But to me, it just felt like my owls were saying, we're still with you. Even though you can't see us on an everyday basis, we'll still be with you. And so yeah, ever since then, I've had a really strong connection to owls and my ancestors in general. So anytime you see an owl, if you happen to be thinking about your ancestors at the time, or someone that has passed at the time that you see this, it may just be them trying to send you a message. Anyways, leave your comments at the bottom if you have any stories that you'd like to share about crazy experiences you've had with animals. I would love to hear about it. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.